Welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roche. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Mom CEO podcast. I'm Esther Rose, your host, and today I'm joined by Samantha, who is not only a single mom of three, but the founder of Zoza Skincare and also owns an aesthetic company. Hello, Samantha, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Esther. Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. So for the benefit of our audience, could you please tell us a bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, I've been an esthetician for 21 years. So I got into it pretty young. I was the kid that didn't know what she wanted to do growing up. And I actually got into aesthetics by accident. I wanted to do makeup and I thought, oh, I'll go be a makeup artist. I'll learn a little bit about skin. Come to find out, I hated putting makeup on people, but I fell in love with the science of the skin. So, it's been an interesting journey. Like I learned, after I became an esthetician, I started suffering from adult acne, which was really interesting because, going to school, learning how to treat acne, but not being able to treat my own skin was very eye-opening. So it wasn't until after 3 babies, I started doing some like dietary changes and elimination diets to realize that what we put into our body impacts our skin. So that's a little bit about, my background. And, now I have a spa, I have a team of estheticians and a skincare line.
Oh, wow. So it's been, it sounds like it's been quite a journey. So I, like yourself, I'm also in the skincare industry, and it's interesting. The things you've touched on are things that I love to go by.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of advice, would you like to give the audience, especially around things like diet, exercise, and because I think sometimes people look at things and they think, oh, if I buy this cream, I'll have perfect skin, but they don't look at everything from the inside out and how to go about that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, our skin is the largest organ, so it's a detox organ. What we put into our body is going to come out through the skin. And they don't teach you that in aesthetic school. They don't talk about that when talking about skincare products. They're like, here, you have a problem, use this cream to fix it. But it's like, that's why going to a dermatologist, getting prescribed like medication doesn't always work, because if our gut's out of balance and then you put medicine in your body, it's just going to make it worse. So that's why it's like you really have to find the root cause of what's causing your acne.
Okay. And what sort of, apart from finding, the root cause, what kind of advice or recommendations would you give to other people that are looking at sorting out themselves and have no idea where to begin?
Right. I start with an elimination diet. Like when I have new acne clients come in, or even my adult clients, I always talk to them about like how the skin reacts and responds. Like even skin sensitivity, it's caused by the foods we're eating. So I start clients, I have them do a food journal for 30 days just to see what they're eating. And then also make notes of the condition of their skin, because you can kind of go back and see what foods are triggering you. Most times it's gluten, it's dairy, it's corn and soy. It could even be eggs or sugar.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
quite a big range of what
Yes,
cause the issues, isn't there?
there is. Yeah.
And with regards to, things like exercise, I don't know if it's something that you focus on as well when you speak to your clients and advise them. Have you got anything to say about that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously exercise is great because it gets the blood moving, it works our heart, but it also helps, sweat is good for our body because it detoxes. The only thing that I tell clients, if you're exercising, make sure you're washing your face right away, because when we sweat, our body releases salt, and it's like salting a steak. If you put salt on a steak, it's going to extract all that water out of the steak. And so if we sweat and we don't wash our face after a workout, that sweat's going to sit on our face and it's going to draw all that moisture out of our skin, and it's going to cause dry skin.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting because I do
Mhm.
see that a lot where, people
Yep.
do exercise and then you kind of think, oh, I'll wash my face later, and then it dries out and you don't
Yep.
realize the impacts that it's having on the skin if you leave it to dry. But
Right.
going back a little bit, because obviously you started within the skincare industry fairly young, and discovered obviously you didn't enjoy the makeup side of things
Right.
as, as much. What sort of advice would you have for somebody else who is in between that sort of discovery phase of trying to set themselves up with something?
Yeah. I mean, I just try it, I mean, just start somewhere because it's like, you never know where it's going to lead you. Like I wanted to do makeup and then I realized, okay, I'm meant to do skincare. So, you have to start somewhere and you just have to like, I feel like these young kids now, like they put so much pressure. You have to go to college. You have to decide like at 18 what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's like, you know what? Give it a try. If it doesn't work, that's totally fine. Move on and, find something else that works.
Yeah, no, that's a really brilliant tip on that, because I think, like you said, that there is a lot of pressure, and
Mm.
social media is one of those things that
Yeah.
also poses quite a lot of pressure on teenagers, or even grown-ups as well. But it's
Mhm.
what you're seeing, isn't it? It's almost like feeding into the mindset and
Yep.
thinking, this is the way to go, rather than having your own vision and your own direction. I just wanted to touch on, the fact that you are a mom of three,
Mhm.
um, and a single mom for that matter. How have you managed to the balance right?
It's a juggle. It's not easy. It's a juggle. Every day's a battle. So,
Yeah. How old are they? How old are your children?
they're 11, 12, and 16. So they're a little bit older now. It's easier, but it's more difficult.
And when you set up your business, they would have been a bit younger then.
Yeah, I started my business when my oldest was 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it's been it's
It's
been
been a while.
14
Yeah.
years of running
Mhm.
the business and doing
Yeah.
doing the juggle. How do you manage because you've got quite a few different elements to your business. Basically, you've got
Mhm.
the aesthetic side, and then you've got Zozo skincare.
Right.
Can you tell me how you manage to do it all?
It's time blocks. Like I have to get up super early because that's like my time to work because it's quiet, nobody's bothering me. I don't have to drive anyone anywhere. I don't have to feed anyone. So it's like having that early morning quiet time. It's like I get up and I'm like super focused and I feel like having that time is really, really helped me. It's like you block out your time, I have my tasks and it's like, I know how much time I have to get everything done.
Well, that's a brilliant way of doing it,
Mhm.
really, and setting those blocks, because I think it can be overwhelming if you don't have a plan
Right.
and don't put everything in order. Um,
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on Zozo Skincare. So we spoke a little bit about your aesthetics business, and
Mhm.
I just want to find out the inspiration behind setting up Zozo Skincare.
Yeah. So it was inspired by my daughter. Her name's Zoe, and her friends all call her Zozo. So that's where the name came from. But she's in that tween age where they're all obsessed with skincare and they all want to go to Sephora and buy all these crazy ingredients and have like 15-step skincare. And so she's been sitting with me, kind of watching me through this process. So I originally was going to bring in a line for my own company and then she was sitting next to me and she started telling me about what all her friends are doing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to do something about this because these poor girls are going to hurt their skin. They're going to actually end up aging themselves faster because they're using ingredients that are made for adult skin. So it's like they're overstimulating the skin, they're overdoing it, they're creating damage, they're not wearing sunscreen. So it's like it's actually scary what these kids are doing. So I just felt as a mom and esthetician, I had to do something to help them.
Yeah, and it is quite an interesting one with Sephora, because I've
Yeah.
got four daughters, and one
Right.
son. So, but then my eldest daughter is not interested in all these
Okay.
things. She just like the quickest and easiest step. My middle daughter, however, is the one that was interested in things, and it has happened. I have seen the damage that can be caused by certain products and stuff. But unfortunately, you've got people jumping on trends and things that are on social media. How are you educating or helping the younger children to sort of have an understanding and choose products that are safe for them?
Right. I'm trying to talk to moms because the girls don't want to listen to me because I'm an adult and I don't know what I'm talking about. It's I feel like moms need education because moms are like, "Oh, you want that? Let's go buy it." It's like they don't realize what they're doing to their kids. It's like you know better not to give your kid a cigarette because we know smoking's bad, but we're letting them buy like retinols and glycolics and adult-based skincare products that are actually going to do like detrimental effects to their skin.
No, that's it is interesting that you mentioned, all those different things, but what is your approach then? Do you run classes, or how are you speaking to mums about it? What are your channels of distributing
Yeah.
this information?
I'm trying to do some videos, live videos, like on Facebook, just talking to mom groups, and then one thing I want to start doing in the fall is getting into schools and or getting in front of like groups of girls and starting to educate them, do like I want to do some fun classes or like mom and me classes. So these are all like things going on in my brain. But yeah, I want to get in front of groups because I really want to create that education piece and make it fun for the girls. Um, so they can get their hands on stuff and actually learn how to correctly take care of their skin.
And it's interesting there with obviously making it fun, because I think that's the element that kind of, when it's
Yeah.
a serious thing that actually helps, it's deemed as boring.
Right.
And then all the trends that are not brilliant, they seem exciting because people know how to put them out there on social media and everything. And what are the things that you found, obviously, in running, there's also skincare as well as the aesthetics. What kind of things do you find influence people within like social media, basically?
I mean, I feel like for my company, I feel like before and afters really are like the marketing piece because everyone wants to see like, is she getting results? How does it work? What is my skin going to look like? Because they want to know, like, if I'm coming to see you, what is going to happen to my skin? It's about like building that. I feel like for me, social media is about building that trust, creating that education piece where it's like they see me as the expert, because everybody's out there selling product. And I'm like, yes, I have product to sell, but I want to help people. Like I do this because I love helping people with their skin. So it's like I try to come across from a social media standpoint as that, educator, as the one that's like really going to give you the results you're looking for.
No, that's brilliant on the social media front with you spreading the positive message. But when you look at some of the messages, which is a lot of them that are not
Right.
so positive, what kind of things have you come across, or even from clients? What kind of
Yeah.
feedback have you had about those kind of situations, basically?
Right. I feel like, especially for the kids, it's all about like, you got to be like everybody else. And I feel like they put pressure, the marketing piece, especially with the kids, it puts pressure on people to make them feel like I'm not good enough, so I have to buy this. I don't look pretty enough, so I have to buy this makeup. I just feel like it's almost like attacking people and just making them feel like less than worthy. So I feel like, something I also want to do with the kids is create like the mindset work, like the worthiness work, like teach them, like stop comparing yourself to others, because I feel like that's what social media is teaching them to do and feel. And I think that's why there's so much anxiety and so much pressure with these young tweens and teens.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that. And you know, I think I really like your approach with the education side of things, because there is a lot of people that have no idea. You sort of think, well, even expensive products, it's like the more I pay, it's going to be absolutely brilliant.
Right.
And some people don't look at the ingredients, or they don't understand what the product is meant to do. But from the social media aspect, it's almost like you said, the mindset thing and feeling not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really pushing people. But another issue I've found, being a fellow skincare person, is filters.
Yeah.
How do you approach or deal
Mm-hmm.
with things like filters when you are on socials?
Yeah. I don't use them. I go on as me
Yeah,
because I want people to see me for me.
no, absolutely. But
Yeah.
what is the message you'd like to give to either moms or the younger ones,
Yeah.
regarding those things, and obviously having the right mindset when they're
Right.
approaching whatever they see on social media?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like the real aspect. So if I'm on social media, I'm always looking for someone who looks real. If I see someone who's got filters or has like too much, I just scroll right past. And I just feel like we need more of that. We need more real people on social media because I feel like it has gotten so flooded with the filters, with the hiding who we are. It's like, oh, I'm going to put this post up and show my life as blah, blah, blah. My life is so amazing. Look at me. It's like, um, I just feel like we need more people to be real. We've lost that like connection piece.
Yeah, it's very difficult because when I first started, in within the skincare, because my background is in the dental field, so within the skincare industry, that's the first time I was ever on social media. So I'd never
Okay.
done socials even personally. So it's quite a massive jump, and
Mhm.
it's busy. It's
Yeah.
very very there's so much stuff that
Mhm.
one you can spend a lot of time just scrolling through irrelevant things, and then there's also the influences that come as a result of that. With when you worked out your way basically to get you to where you are, what are the sort of things that you had to go through for your own sort of personal growth and development? How did you sort of get over the noise?
Um, I mean, I feel like I've always been drawn to personal development. I've always been somebody that's always been something interesting to me. Like I've always wanted to grow and better myself as a person. And I feel like it's just so easy to get lost on social media. So I feel like having that mindset, having those I listen to Audible or podcasts when I'm driving. I try to read like inspirational books. I journal, I meditate. I just have all those little pieces, but that's just something I've always been drawn to. So I feel like having that personal growth piece can help you on social media because you learn how to block it out. You learn how to like kind of put up a wall between you and what you're seeing out there. So that way you're like, no, this isn't real. This is just somebody's picture. This is somebody's perception of who they want you to believe that they are. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no,
Okay, good.
absolutely. And it is interesting because I think you've got to realize and sort of have your own voice, I suppose, because I think
Yeah.
there is a tendency that you want to be something else or feel you have to be something else in order to meet people's expectations. Have you come across that or faced that at all, or you just sort of knew who you were and basically stuck to you?
No, I mean it's been a journey. I'm
Yeah.
I'm in my mid 40s now, so I feel like as you get older,
Yeah.
you realize like all that superficial stuff isn't important.
Mm.
So I feel like when I was younger, yeah, it was more important to me, but I feel like now that I've gotten older, I've learned how to filter it out.
Yeah, and what advice would you give to your younger self?
To not worry, stop comparing myself, stop looking at people going, I need to have that. I need to be here. It's like we always have that, like, I could always be better. And yes, we always can be better, but it's like when we're young, we feel like, oh my God, our life's over if we don't have XYZ.
Yeah,
So,
and being a mom of three, what
mhm.
what sort of um, messages do you get from your children? Basically, how are they connected to your business in terms of what you're doing and how you do it, or any advice or anything that they like to you put in?
I mean, they just kind of watch me because I work out of the house. I'm home doing my marketing and stuff, but my spa, obviously I have to leave for to go take care of clients, but they do see me kind of coming and going. They see me working a lot. So, I just feel like just having that communication piece with them and being like, okay, mom's going to work. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now this is my new thing I'm taking on. This is why I'm doing it. But I always feel like every decision I make, it's always like, is this going to help my kids or is this going to hurt my kids? Because I feel like as you grow, you have to step back and kind of take a break. But I'm like, is this going to be a long-term gain?
Mm.
So that's kind of how I've incorporated the kids into my work.
Yeah. And do you feel it has had a positive impact on them, like in some of the decisions they're making, or when you have your communication and chats with them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I have two boys and they love their video games. So I feel like they're in that space because they're teenagers right now. And it's like they're in that space that's all they want to do. Like now it's like I'm mom and I'm like, wah, wah, wah. So I feel like I talk to the wall most days.
But I think the important thing is that they're
Yeah.
seeing you actually going out there and doing
Hmm.
something, which I think, I always refer to this and say there's a lot of things about running your own business, the
Yeah.
discipline it takes. It's not taught in the schools, is it? It's
No.
one of the
Mhm.
things that they're going to have to pick up from yourself.
Right.
Um, and in terms of, anything happening in terms of growth and stuff, also you didn't tell us where you are. So if you can let the audience know where you
Oh,
are
yeah.
and
Yes.
what's happening with the business, and any new products or anything that's coming up.
Yeah. We just brought in a medical director, so we're now able to offer like more advanced anti-aging services. I'm in Illinois and I'm in a suburb of Chicago. So in Illinois, like due to regulations, they restricted all the services that we could do under our license. So bringing in a medical director, now we're able to do like dermaplaning, peels, microchanneling, microneedling, some of those more advanced anti-aging services. So that's something that's literally like launching like as we speak. So
Wow.
that's been the new project that I've been spending a lot of extra time and energy on. So
Oh, congratulations.
thank
And
you.
with regards to Zosa Skincare,
Mhm.
do you have a shop front? Are you online, or how do you distribute your products?
Yeah. Yeah. I have an online store. So, and then I have a website for my company as well.
Oh, brilliant. So you've got quite a few channels then, with regards to distribution and everything. And do
Yep.
you sell all over or mainly in Chicago in that area?
No, I ship products. So it's a lot of I say right now it's mostly local because that's where my market is, but as I grow, obviously it's going to expand throughout the US and eventually international.
And just to pick your brains on,
Mhm.
again, giving some advice on other women that are trying to obviously grow a business and set up, what sort of points would you say for them to consider when, they're setting up or trying to expand in business?
I mean, I feel like time management is key. You have to carve out that time and you have to dedicate every single day. I mean, I work 7 days a week. Having your own business, you have to work 7 days a week, even if it's for a couple hours on a Sunday. Um, but you have to be able to have that time. You have to make the time and you have to dedicate to working during that time. I feel like as moms, our kids are like, Mom, can you take me here? Mom, can I go here? It's like when the kids are up and they're around, you're being pulled. So it's like having that time management piece where you're really like, no, this is the work time I have. It's like non-negotiable time. So I feel like that is how you can grow your company
Mhm.
and still be a mom.
No, brilliant. It is hard because, I know exactly what you're talking about when it
Yeah.
comes to being pulled left, right, and center
Right.
and being the mummy taxi and dropping
Yep.
everybody everywhere. And,
Mhm.
in relation to self-care, what do you do to look after you and have
Yeah.
your own time?
I mean, I have my journal time every morning. So I get up, I have my cup of coffee. It's quiet, nobody's bothering me. And then at night, I like to take baths and like read a good book. So,
Oh, brilliant. So you've got it all worked out.
yeah. Yep.
I think sometimes that's an element that can be missing because some,
Yeah.
people or mums feel guilty. You kind of
Yeah.
like think, oh, that half an hour or that hour I'm giving to myself,
Mhm.
I could be doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, have
Right.
you ever experienced that, or you've had to
Oh, yeah.
train yourself?
All the time. Yeah,
And you still take time out anyway, so
I do.
which is very
Yeah.
important.
I do it when they're like early in the morning, they're sleeping. So that's not really taking away. And then at night when they're just kind of zoning out, I'm like, all right, before I go to bed, I'm going to go take a bath and then go to bed. So it's kind of like that, you know, start of my day, end of my day. The rest of it's kind of chaotic, but
No, that's brilliant. So, the tip there basically is having that time then, the time
Mhm.
blocks that you mentioned. So just making sure that people do work to a time block, um,
Yep.
and follow through with it really.
Mhm.
Because I find if I don't diarize things, they don't happen because I can't
Exactly.
just stop and
Yep.
on to the next thing, so I've got to follow something.
Mhm.
And have you had any challenges per se during your time? You know, you've been in business for a long time. Have you
Mhm.
come across any challenges, and how have you dealt with them?
Oh yeah, I have challenges all the time. I feel like my biggest challenge that always pops up for me is technology. It's like I'm good with technology, but every time I go to do something new, it never works. It's never seamless. It's never easy. There's always like this hiccup or that hiccup. So I feel like anytime I try a technology thing, it gets me flustered.
How do you deal with that? Have you got somebody you work with, and you know?
No. At some point I'm almost to the point where I need to hire like a virtual assistant because I feel like there's just so many things and I'm like, I need to start delegating it, but it's like, I want to know exactly how to do it so I can delegate it better.
Yeah. And that's hard. I think that's a really
It
tough
is.
one because we do go through where,
Mhm.
you know, these phases where you feel you've got to know your business and understand how things work.
Right.
But equally, once you get to that point, you need to get that extra help to give you to free yourself from
Yeah.
spending a lot of time trying to figure it all out. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's brilliant. Well,
Hmm.
it's been an absolute pleasure, Samantha, having you
Yeah.
on the show. You know, have you got any sort of words of advice or any last tips or anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, there's moms listening, and every mom deserves to have some time for herself. She deserves to live the life that she was put on this earth to do. So I just feel like having that inner knowing, if even if it takes 5 minutes to sit in silence every day, just to try and figure out, okay, what am I here for? What is my purpose? Like every woman deserves to have that. So I feel like everyone should at least make that attempt to dig down in their soul and find what they're here for and go for it.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant tips and advice. And you know, if people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and my handle is at Skin Deep IL.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all those tips and how
Yeah.
your journey has been and how
Mhm.
it's been born out of, obviously, from the skincare,
Yeah.
doing the makeup to then doing aesthetics and the skincare for your daughter. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
You're very welcome.